Today we catch up with Stephen from Beat the Blue. 4 years ago we sat down and heard about the event's humble beginnings. From meet and greets in Wetherill Park, Stephen has grown the event year after year, with the help of a committee of amazing volunteers and some very generous sponsors. Beat the Blue attracted 15,000 spectators last year, and so far, Stephen and the team have raised $150,000 for Police Legacy. It's a charity that looks after the families of fallen police. This is a free event, so I encourage you to lock in the 29th of June and invite your mates. It's a huge show and shine, and the racing is very entertaining.
Alright, here we go. It's been much younger. And I'll tell you what.
The Highway Patrol officers are there to win. And drivers, last year we lost more than 75% of races. It's not great, and I need you to lift your game this year. In the beginning, the blue was a reference to the uniform the police officers wore. As time has gone on, Stephen is thinking about pivoting towards blue being a reference to depression. Events like these are the perfect thing to help you beat the blue. You're catching up with mates, you're having a laugh, or you're bringing down your family to check out the action for free. Please share this video around so we can reach as many people as possible and make this year's Beat the Blue the biggest one yet. Welcome to Grassroots Garage. We've got Stephen from Beat the Blue today. Stephen, thanks for your time, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Great to be with you again.
We're a massive supporter of Beat the Blue, and I know you have strong opinions about the Highway Patrol, and I'll just frame the conversation. I want you to think about, for me, it was the first time I strapped my girls in the car that I realised how important it was to have safe roads. You might think about your mum, you might think about your family. The Highway Patrol is super important and we need safe roads. That's why we support Stephen, and the work he does raising money is so important. So we really appreciate him and we'll do anything we can to support him. Stephen, just give us a bit of a background on Beat the Blue.
So I've been a cop for nearly 20 years now, most of that in the Highway Patrol. I hated the Highway Patrol growing up. I was on my P's in a S14. Always in. I love my JDMs. I've had GDRs and Evos. Evo is probably what I'm most known for, racing at World Time Attack. About 10 years ago now, I was an officer at Fairfield Highway Patrol and went to a really nasty double fatal where two young kids in a DC2R left the TAFE at Wetherill Park and went straight into a truck coming the other way. So they died instantly. I went to that and I just went, what a waste of life. And I thought, so I was like, all right, I'm in the Highway Patrol. What can I do to stop kids doing this stupid stuff? So I was like, all right, I'm going to sit in a position where I can get people speeding out of the TAFE. And for months, one after another, big speeds, like real dangerous stuff. It's 60 zone there with houses on the other side. And I took I had 2 weeks of annual leave, and I came back to work, and there was another fatal. And I was like, all right, I've stopped those people, and potentially you've stopped them before they've done something to hurt themselves, which is the whole goal of what we do with the enforcement. But there's got to be something more. So at the time, I was racing. Like I said, I've always been into cars. I was at World Time Attack, and I'd found in my experience as an amateur racer that when I'd have a conversation with someone about what the Highway Patrol did and why we were actually doing things rather than the crap, and that's the only way I can say it, that you see online, they turn their head and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I thought you did it because of this. Or I thought there's a quota, or I thought you just guys do it for this reason. And it's no, we don't care about the fines and tickets. It's not like I'm driving a Ferrari because I'm writing out 100 tickets, or because I'd be sitting somewhere else now. I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be doing that. All we really care about, and every day all we cared about, was how many people were getting hurt on the roads that we took care of. So I thought to myself, well, every time I have this conversation with someone at the track, they understand, and you're getting through to one. So how can we magnify that? So having that good reputation in the race scene and that JDM scene, I lent into that, and I thought, let's create something where we can get people together and I can magnify that conversation with guys that I race with and the people from work. So I was like, all right, if we're all car people are so skeptical, like you can do nothing right. So I thought the best way to get through to people and show them that I'm serious and my colleagues are serious about what we're doing is to do it in my own time, right? Because if someone says, oh, this is just your job, you're just getting paid to do this, right, that's going to take away from what I really care about. So it's the 7 years I've been running Beat the Blue now, I do it in my own time for nothing, right? So when I'm at work, I don't do anything with Beat the Blue. Everything that we do, the organising, the running, the endless meetings is all done in my own time. And I thought if people could see that we care enough about their safety on the road, that we're doing these things in our own time, then that'll help get that message across. All right. So ever since day dot, the volunteers and the people that run Beat the Blue do it off the clock. Now, obviously, we have police that attend, and they're part of that engagement, and that's part of that relationship we have with the police. But Beat the Blue, and that's another common misconception, is that Beat the Blue, people think Beat the Blue is a police event, but it's not. Beat the Blue, we're a registered charity, we're registered with Fair Trade as a not-for-profit, we've got a committee and a volunteer base that runs it, and we have a working relationship with the police. Now, obviously, a lot of our volunteers are serving police officers, but a lot of them are just normal car people that want to help. We went from strength to strength. So the hundreds of messages of, oh, it's a trap and I'm just going to get defected and that, like, it took a little bit, but year after year, people came and saw what it was really about. And like I said, it's never going to be perfect. There's no, like, cops isn't perfect and car people aren't perfect, but if we don't try and do something to make everyone a bit safer and happier, then what's the point? I've had a lot of times where you go through and you see something happen in the media, or you hear a story about someone having a bad time. Either way, be it they've been hassled by the cops as they see it, or vice versa. The first thing people do is jump on our page and abuse us, which I don't really understand. Like, I get people want to vent and stuff, but our team is really there just to sort of be that Switzerland between the two groups, because everyone that volunteers for Beat the Blue really does have a fair dinkum passion for road safety. And like I said, they're putting their own time. I've got a family with 5 kids with all varying ages, obviously, with lots of commitments, and there's lots of things I could be doing. I've pretty much given up racing because I don't have the time to do it anymore, because I really think that this has so much to offer the community. And I guess it's not all doom and gloom. Like, our last event, we got 15,000 people at City Motorsport Park. We were the 3rd biggest event of the year, like, with supercars for attendance.
How good is that?
Which is pretty cool.
How good is that?
But then it evolved so much. So obviously the first few years of the event were just a social thing. They're like a little car show in a car park at Wetherill Park, to the large scale event we run each year now at Sydney Motorsport Park, and it's always evolving. So this year during our main event, we're gonna have like a little kids Beat the Blue, where we've got little electronic carts and a setup for kids to get involved in motorsport. The guys from Driving Solutions, who James in particular, who runs it, without them, we wouldn't be sitting here. Like, this venue's amazing, and without that person with that buy-in to do it, like, we wouldn't be here. So James has got some other programs up his sleeve that he runs with Motorsport Australia, which is about getting those early teens into cars and motorsport and appreciating what they are and enjoying it. So we're talking about having kids between 12 and 16 in Mustangs on the figure 8 on the night, and all that stuff's free. Like, we're very conscious that people are struggling out there, and while all the money we raise goes to Legacy, that do an amazing job of taking care of the families of police officers that have been killed. We're still very conscious that because of this thing we've built together that we can do right by the community, and if that is as little as creating a fun and safe event where people can come and not spend a cent, then we're proud of that. And one of the nicest things I heard from the chair of Legacy, Superintendent Donna McCartney, a couple of years back, we'd raised a certain amount of money, and I was like, oh, we've got so many people here, like how can we raise more money? And she basically turned around and said, don't you dare. She goes, look at all these people that are happy and that wouldn't have this opportunity because of what you guys are doing. Just concentrate on doing the right thing. And we've lived by that the last few years, and the event's just grown from strength to strength.
Where are we going next?
So, like I said, we started in a cafe in Wetherill Park, in a car park, right, with 20 cars and 40 people, to the point now where we're 15,000 spectators, 100 maxed out. The car show sells out. I've got 10 times the amount of applicants for positions for the driver stuff, right? So what we're looking at doing is evolving and helping more people. So the money we raise will always go to Legacy, right? But we're really lucky that we've got some great sponsors and some great support coming in, where we want to branch out and do more. So part of that is, again, driving solutions. We get legatees from all over the state. They get brought into Sydney Motorsport Park to do advanced driver training, and James covers that. Right, so the guy's looking for sainthood, I reckon. So on the back of that, we've had some of my colleagues from all different sections of the police have started reaching out to us with kids that are in hard situations and doing their best to keep their head above water, and said, Steve, what can we do to sort of help this kid keep going this way, because they're not in a great environment. So what we've started doing is sponsoring kids positions to beat the blue, that we cover the cost and make sure they get a start. We organise a car for them if they have to, on the proviso that they keep on that track. So give them that carrot to keep doing the right thing. And programs we're looking at kicking off from next year include a referral service where we get again young people that don't have the opportunities that others do, or like my kids have had, to do driver training and be in this positive environment at the track, surrounded by good people, where we're looking at running multiple events a year centered around driver training that's absolutely free for the right people. So building something like that where you get the right people is difficult, and again, 20 years of being a cop and seeing people abuse every loophole the system has, it's really important to me that we get the right people through these programs. The other thing is we've really lent into the name. So Beat the Blue was always about the blue being the cops, right? But a lot of people say, oh, Beat the Blue is about mental health. And no, the blue means for cops. But in the last couple of years, we've sort of seen it as our responsibility with what we've created and built to lean into that space, like especially men's mental health. We're creating a space where people get together. There's no pressure of cost. There's no, I want to go meet my mates, but it's going to cost me X amount of dollars to get a spectator ticket, or I've got to buy this and I've got to buy that. That's been our main motivation, to maintain free spectatorship, so that people, there's no excuse, and we're always advertising it via our socials. Grab your mate and just come down. Just catch up with your friends, make that time. We don't run events that often, 4 times a year for the socials and 1 main event. Mate, take the effort to grab your friends or the people you don't catch up with and reach out and make sure they're right and have a conversation, but you never know. And I've had it with colleagues, I've had it with people I've raced with, where we've met up for a coffee, or we've met at the track, or they come and they volunteer, and you have a 5-10 minute conversation and you can tell something's not right. And when you start delving into that, and you're in this is like a man's safe space, really, and women too. Like, it's not just about obviously men, and I'm really proud that there's a very good chunk, and I'm going to lie here and say it's like 15 or 20% of the applicants for this year's event are female, which is awesome, right? But having 2 daughters myself, right? But this is a safe space. This is like our safe space, really, the track, because we like you, a place you want to come, and it's to create a space where it doesn't cost anything to be here, and you get to see some cool cars and you get to see some cool stuff and have a conversation with your mate. We're really leaning into that. We've got a responsibility with something cool that we've built with this event to do more for people, and sometimes it's like, oh wow, I wish I'd just stop. Like you get a bit tired and you see some of the negative comments online and you're like, oh, that's not what we're about. But then I've got some really beautiful messages over the years from people saying, hey, I come with my son-in-law, or I come with my daughter or my son, and they were on the wrong track, and you spent 10 minutes talking to them, and now they're doing great, or now they're doing this, and now they're volunteering here, or they've turned around because they've seen that it's not all bad, and that people give a crap about them. And just as importantly, it's great for our people, and by our people I mean the police, to come to things like this and see that the community is behind them, right? So you've got 15,000 people that come to an event, right? It's because they care. And they care about what they're doing and what we're doing, which is awesome. And so many, no one rings, and I said it the last time we sat down, no one rings Triple O or rings police assistance line and say, hey, everything's great, you want to come over for a coffee and catch up, right? And you shouldn't do that, but that's illegal, right? But we just seldom get those opportunities, and that's why we sort of cops become the way they do, because for year on year on year, you're just dealing with the bad all the time, so you get a bit blindsided by that. And I know it happens to me, and I've got to snap out of it sometime, and that's why I lean into the racing. And if I'm having a particular bad day or week, I'll make sure the helmet goes on and I go out for a ride with some friends that aren't cops, so that we can just talk about cars, and we can just talk about coffee or whatever. Like, it's so important to have that avenue to disconnect and take care of each other, and I just think that like this place offers that. And again, we've got some awesome sponsors, and we've got quite a few now, but Driving Solutions and the team here, they don't. It's just about getting people here, and it's affordable. Like when you think about, they do a skid and slide night where you can come here on a skid pan for a few $100s, and you can run amok with your mates like all night. It's really good.
You're talking about leaning into the men's mental health space. I'm going to give you a big shove in there. I think this is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah,
I think
thank you, mate.
It's so important. And if you're, mate, I strongly encourage you to exercise, eat healthy, find a brotherhood, whatever that means to you, and can you please finish your car, right, and then drive your car and enjoy your car, or your bike, or whatever it is that you're passionate about, BMX bike, whatever you're into, I want you to lean into it, because being creative, and it's to men, if you say you're an artist, it's a bit of a thing, but being creative is so important to your mental health as well. So I love what you're doing. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
Last year's event, what I noticed from the guys driving the highway cars was that they're not mucking around. They're very competitive. Tell me about the process of selecting the drivers.
So in the first couple of years, basically I just picked officers that I trusted, because it's such a fickle thing what we're doing in the sense of risk. If we had the wrong person here with the wrong attitude, even on the police side, the event wouldn't exist. So the first couple of years, I handpicked drivers, A, that I knew could steer, and B, understood the reputational risk we'd be doing to the police and to the community by being an idiot. So with the success of the event and more people wanting to get involved, we set up a qualification day. So we've done that the last 2 events. So officers from around the state, and we get them from all over the state, come for a day here. They all have to use the same car. Most of them come in their own time, so they're not driving police cars. James and Ford's been very generous with that too, supply a Mustang. All right, so there's probably worse things you could do in a day than drive a Mustang around a skid pan. And how the qualification works is they get 3 sighting laps, and then 5 back-to-back runs where their average time over that 5 laps is their score. So if you do 1 banger lap or 2, it doesn't mean anything. You have to be able to be consistent, and pretty much if you knock over a cone, you're out of it, because the time penalty that's associated with that throws your average out in a big way. So to put it in perspective, this year's qualification day, I won't call it an event, the difference between qualifying as a police driver and not was 0.1 of a second in average over 5 laps. The difference between the driver that came first and that came 11th and didn't qualify was 1.2 seconds over the course of the lap. And what I found really interesting was the guy who was the fastest, so his average time was the quickest, didn't do the fastest lap.
But he was consistent.
He was consistent, and that's really what we're looking for. And one of the first meetings I had with the executive of the Highway Patrol, at the time he was the Assistant Commissioner, Michael Corboy, who's now our patron, who takes care of us in what we do and sort of gives us a lot of guidance. He said to me that that's the most important thing. He goes, what he loved about our very first event was that none of the police cars had any disqualifications, no hitting cones, the traction was on, the cars were sharp. And that's the message we're trying to show to the community, is that if you're loose, it's not quick. If you drive like an idiot, you're not getting anywhere quicker. The overall success of the night was based on precision and care. So that sort of works with that message too.
So we're thinking cones. We're thinking it's just a traffic cone, but no, that represents a tree or a gutter or a wall on a racetrack.
That's right.
If you hit it, it's got real consequences.
Exactly, and that's what we're mimicking with the layout that we design every year on a skid pan. Is the worst conditions you're going to face on the road. So the skid pan's wet. There's a tight turn. There's a sweeping bend. There's a sudden stop. All these things that you'd face on the road that would be the worst circumstance is what we're repeating here. So if you're, like you said, rightfully, if you're hitting a cone here, that's equivalent to hitting a tree or a parked car or a pedestrian or something. So that's why on the night of the event you don't get a time penalty. You're out. You hit a cone, your night's done.
Yeah, and you've got 15,000 people watching you.
Yeah, that's right.
So these cars on the night, there's the cars are just going round and round and round. Have you got to do anything to the cars to make them ready for the night?
No. So what we do, and again, is to share a bit of the burden of the use of the cars. So when officers qualify, they bring their vehicle from their home station. So these are just operational highway cars. There's not some special fleet of cars we build. It's not like a Fast and Furious scene where we've got a workshop and all of a sudden the good tyres and the good suspension and the good brakes go. Right. There's no NOS under the bonnet. They're just operational cars now. I'd want to hope that they've got a fresh set of tyres or something for the night, but that's on them and their boss if they're going to front for that stuff. But really, they're just operational cars that you'll see on the street. And the guys driving, it's not a team of driver trainers, from our academy in Goulburn. These are operational cops that you'll meet on the street. So it's very real assessment of your drive. And that was the thing too, is the people that are taking part in the event. We're looking at getting people that have never been here before, or the young kids that are like, oh, you know what, I've always thought about it but didn't know what to do, and they're the people we want here on the skid pan.
But Shapey's garage, I tell you. Guys, last bit of raffle tickets. Get in there. Just need the blue one in the back corner.
My dream in life is that the Highway Patrol focuses on keep left unless overtaking. That's my favourite road rule of all time, and I'm sure it's yours too.
Definitely, and that's the thing, and I think we've spoken about it before, is there's no forum or Facebook group for people in shitbox cars to whinge about us defecting them, or to whinge about getting a ticket for not keeping left. We're dealing with that stuff every day. Like, I'm a car guy, I love stuff, right? I love my cars, I love building cars, right? And bikes too. I've got lots of faults, right? But my defect book's full, right? People talk to me sometimes and go, oh, you'd never do that. And I'm like, yeah, I would, because if I stop a car or a car pulls into RBT, the first thing I do is I look at its tyres, I make sure the brake lights work, because they're all the things I want to be safe on the road. But that guy in a busted Camry or Corolla or whatever, right, he doesn't get online and whinge about it, so everyone doesn't know about it, right? So then the people in our community that are affected by those things, they get, oh, it's only us getting picked on, because that's all they hear. But hand on heart, the book's full, but it's not full of nice or good cars. It's full of cars that none of us want on the road, but we just don't. There's no billboard for that.
I strongly encourage everyone to come down and beat the blue. It's a great event. Let's focus on the positive things. If you have strong opinions, I would encourage you to focus on the things that you want to happen. I want this track to be opened up so we can use it all the time, and I love what Stephen's doing. He's really helping us. If you want things to get better, you should focus on the positive things, and that's what I encourage you to do. And Stephen's doing an amazing job. 150 grand for Police Legacy is absolutely fantastic. I'm really proud to say he's my friend, and I really appreciate his time. Stephen, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
This is a free event, so I encourage you to lock in the 29th of June and invite your mates. It's a huge show and shine, and the racing is very entertaining. The Highway Patrol officers are there to win. And drivers, last year we lost more than 75% of races. It's not great, and I need you to lift your game this year. In the beginning, the blue was a reference to the uniform the police officers wore. As time has gone on, Stephen is thinking about pivoting towards blue being a reference to depression. Events like these are the perfect thing to help you beat the blue. You're catching up with mates, you're having a laugh, or you're bringing down your family to check out the action for free. Please share this video around so we can reach as many people as possible and make this year's Beat the Blue the biggest one yet.